Hi, I'm Meryl Key, and this is my mystery school. This is the Heart of Tarot series where we go through the entire tarot deck from start to finish with everything you need to know about tarot. Hit the notification bell so you don't miss out on any uploads. And if you want to support my channel, a like, share, comment goes down really well. Thank you. This is number 9 in the series, and the Fool is in the home stretch of the journey. But that doesn't mean life is simple. This is the spiritual stage of development, where the Fool has to learn how to turn darkness to light. In this video, I'll take you through some of the darkness, from the devil, the tower, to the star and the moon. And we'll continue this line in the next video and wrap it all up with a full review and some spreads. But first here, we'll start with a quick check-in of the keywords for all the majors so far. And then we'll dive into the symbolism, interpretation and meaning of each card, with some tips and tricks along the way. So get your cards ready, get your journals ready. We're entering the spiritual stage of the Major Arcana. Hi, I'm Meryl Key from the Heart of Tarot and my mystery school. Welcome to the third part of the Major Arcana. You've seen the Fool earn the mundane or the earthly lessons of life, and then work his way through the psychological lessons in the second line. And now we're at the spiritual line, the third line, the line of wholeness and completion. Let's go over some of the keywords we've learnt so far. From the mundane or the everyday earthly level, number 0, the Fool, initiation, new beginnings. Number 1, the Magician, willpower, manifestation. Number 2, the High Priestess, intuition, things that are hidden. Number 3, the beautiful Empress, abundance, creativity. The Emperor, number 4, structure, authority. Number 5, the Hierophant, belief systems, education. The Lovers, number 6, agreements, relationship, direct conflict, triumph and victory, number 6, the Chariot. And in the second line, the psychological level, first one, number 8, strength, indirect conflict and courage. The Hermit, seeking answers, retreat, number 9. Number 10, the Wheel of Fortune, chaos, change, fate. Justice, number 11, decisions, establishing equilibrium. Number 12, the Hangman, suspension, a new perspective. Death is number 13, transformation, change. And number 14, temperance, balance, integration. Can you see the way the Fool is developing? It's the same as in the other videos. We'll pause for a moment with each card, so you've got a time to write in your journal, have fun with it, and the cards will open up to you. Here's our final stage of the tarot journey, the stage of spiritual development and completion. After passing the stages and the psychological test of the middle line, the Fool is now ready to meet the hard truth, the devil. This is an archetypal figure. It's not meant to represent a real devil, in the same way that the death card doesn't represent a real death. Pause the video for a few moments and have a look at your devil card, writing your first impressions. Let's backtrack a bit here. The Fool has met death and loss, learned how to integrate what's happened in the Temperance card, and now fresh out of rehab, he meets the devil, temptation. The devil is the place where you can be led astray, where you make excuses and hide from the truth. In this card, you're chained to the devil, and the devil is the thing that holds you back. The cards around can tell you what dirty secret the devil is sitting on, but addiction, greed, obsession, debt, and unfaithfulness are all fair game with this. The devil in the 10 of Pentacles. The devil is tied to the family name, bankruptcy, some scandal, family debt. The devil And the Knight or the King of Swords? Mental cruelty, narcissism, verbal abuse. Devil and the Seven of Cups? Daydreaming, not knowing what you want, unable to commit. Procrastination, the Devil and the Nine of Cups. Comfort eating. Can you see how the devil influences what's around it? It corrupts things. The key words for the devil are overindulgence, greed, bondage, obsession, lust, sex, hedonism, and it can also mean destructive behaviour and violence. When the devil comes up, the veil is removed. The truth is right there in front of you if you open your eyes. To truly face the devil and conquer it, first you have to see what's there. So let's have a good look at this card and see what's there. This card has a dark cave-like setting. The image is dominated by this half-man, half-goat figure. There's bat wings, he's got claws on his feet. And this is about the animal nature being released. And it's front and centre. It's very direct. The inverted pentagram refers to the laws of nature being reversed. Everything is upended. So the pentagram is a symbol not only of balance of all the elements, earth, water, air, fire and ether. It's also a symbol of Venus, because as Venus tracks in the sky, she follows the form of the pentagram. So it's become a symbol of the goddess, the creation of all. And although this creature is like drilling down on us, he's not on a throne, he's on a pedestal. We've elevated him. This is the card of the fallen lovers, where they've experienced shame. And you can't fully appreciate this card unless you've looked at this one with the lovers, because they mirror each other. The composition is the same, two naked figures and a supernatural being in the centre. The lovers pose here. They have their hands outstretched as if asking why. And here, they've kind of given up. They're just going meh. The devil's torch pointed down, meaning illumination is unlikely. And the chains represent the things we're in bondage to, all the attachments. Because these chains are hung very loosely, we know they can get out of this. It's their choice to stay in bondage with the devil. That's an important message in this card. The lovers here are now part human and part demonic. They've got tails, grapes, flames, horns, but they're a bit like deer in the headlights. They're stuck. They can change this and the restriction and the imprisonment, but their animal side is dominating. In the lovers card, we see they're not actually connecting, the two figures. And same here, they're connected through the devil. There's something about this card that says to really form this commitment, you have to explore the underbelly. Something in that underbelly is connecting them. They're each allowed their freedom, but they're chained by desire. When you want something, you can't be free. The devil is a card of choice, like the lovers. It's about making a choice to separate and individualize. But here, the fool has taken the forbidden fruit to get the knowledge of all sides of life. As we've said, the chains can be removed, so the attachment and the bondage is psychological. Freedom is attainable. The devil shows that in order to grow, sometimes you have to separate from all you knew. In a reading, the devil's not really good news. There's a betrayal, a loss, a deception, some sort of compulsive or obsessive behaviours, thinking that's not healthy. Whatever you don't want other people to know about, that's your devil. It's the part you don't like to look at honestly. It's the fallen lovers, a relationship that's unfulfilling, going nowhere, the commitment is lost and the trust is broken. It's a battle between self-interest and cooperation within the partnership. Can the devil be a good card? It's good for sex and debauchery. If you need a hard truth, the devil's there to give it to you. It exposes the truth. Use the devil as a release valve to shake out the cobwebs, to see what's really there. Play devil's advocate. What are you attached to? Where do you make excuses? How can you lift the chains? What gives you devilish delight? Do you allow yourself pleasure? How can you release your inhibitions? Have a think about this and write your thoughts in your journal. The Fool has walked with the devil, and now nothing is the same. Our next card, number 16, the Tower, the removal of physical obstacles. For a moment, just pause the video, have a look at your card, and spend a few moments writing in your journal your first impressions. This is a dramatic and energetic card. It represents the structures we invested in, the protections we relied on, and where we became too rigid and lacking flexibility. We end up in bondage, enslaved to those routines and patterns, that way of thinking, that unable to open your mind. This card is about that build-up of pressure and the unavoidable explosion that needs to happen to release it. It's about eruptive change and breaking down of physical obstacles. The old form has to break down so the new form can come through. That sudden change could be bankruptcy, a psychological breakdown, the loss of a job or an accident. Or it could be the freedom and the breakthrough that you've been waiting for, liberation. The restriction is over, the pressure is released, but now you have to deal with the fallout. The key words for the Tower: drama, sudden change, destruction, unexpected endings, liberation. Reversed. This card still operates through the elemental forces of destruction, but I see it more of an implosion. Perhaps the struggle is going to keep on going. There may be that real resistance to change that means the breakthrough and the fallout can't fully be integrated and swept away. It's where there may be a prolonged upheaval. Maybe justice is denied. Sometimes a reversed Tower is about fearing the worst, manifesting your own fears and worries, making it much more dramatic than it needs to be. With the Tower, you can't escape what the universe is dishing out to you. You just have to surrender and roll with it, using the best of your skills and talents, and hopefully learning a bit about humbleness and humility, a bit about vulnerability, letting the dust settle before you can reevaluate. The Tower is a really striking image. It's a nightmare scene with lightning and clouds, people being expelled. It's a long fall for some. It's a black night with grey clouds. There's confusion, fear and isolation. The Tower, you can see it's rising up out of this rocky base, split by lightning, flames erupting. This is sudden change, exposure. It's a lonely and isolated Tower of Babel. A modern day myth with this would be a stock market crash, the collapse of a big business, the breaking down of institutions. You can see the crown, the highest structures of society being blown off. This is about revelations. There's no cover anymore. The lightning strike is the stroke of realisation, the bolt from the blue. And this is shocking and liberating at the same time. This could be a stroke of brilliance. The king here in his blue pyjamas, and this person, some say could be his loyal manservant, or in some ways I just think it represents, kings and commoners alike. We all have a Tower moment, and it is a long fall. But you can see they're not really hurt. I think the hurt is going to happen when they hit the ground. It's a number 16. 1 + 6 = 7. It's also 16 is 8 plus 8, the strength card. So what happens when a 1 plus 6 meets conflict and we get a double dose of that? This is what happens when you've thrown everything at it, but the matter can't be resolved. The yellow yods are the disintegration of the tree of life that we saw in the Lover's card and the tree of knowledge. We also saw these yods with the moon. Yods are Kabbalistic symbols made up of 3 letters that contain the plan of all of creation. And now they're being flung out of the old structure. The tree of knowledge and the tree of life from the Lover's card has just disintegrated. Destruction can bring, really, the greatest growth. And this is about dispersal and diversity. It's a natural cycle. This card is also linked to the planet Mars, which is the planet of war, the action planet, the planet that is most unstoppable once it's found its target. That sudden change in destruction makes this a no card. This is the stage of the journey where there's a shock realization. All that you knew is suddenly blown out and needs to be reframed. You can see from the card, the foundations are still there, but everything else is blown off. You can't go back to what you had. You've been changed by the experience. For the caterpillar, waiting to become a butterfly, it's when it has that compulsive urge to break out of the comfort zone of its cocoon. The shell splits open and there's no going back. It's left exposed with no idea about what's happening next. The tower can be an indication of shocking or traumatic events, an illness, a diagnosis, a severe psychological stress, a split. It is a no card. We know it's internal conflict because the lid is blown off. It can't be stopped and there's no real way of escaping the pain. If you can see this as liberation, you're really doing well with the Tower card. If you see it as the phoenix rising from the ashes, of the breakdown that had to happen, that things fall apart, freedom is a powerful antidote to oppression. The Tower is a sign from the universe that that's what's needed. This is my favourite card of the Major Arcana. After we've had the Death and the Devil and the Tower, we get this, number 17, the Star. Just for a moment, pause your video and write your first impressions of the Star card. How would it feel to be the Fool on a moonlit night coming across this scene? The Star is such a beautiful, graceful, healing card. This is the time to restore after an ordeal, to get nourishment, support on a mental, physical, emotional and spiritual level. This card is described as the highest spiritual aspect of the feminine. Now you might wonder, why isn't that given to the High Priestess? And if we look at them together, we can see the Star is more nourishing, she's more balanced. She's more open and transparent. She's integrated. She freely and generously gives. The Star nourishes the inner and the outer worlds. It's about recovery after turmoil. It's about turning a corner in your healing. You're still in the night time, but there is hope and support. As you heal inwardly, you start attracting healthier people towards you. The inner world and the outer world start to match up, synthesize. Is reassurance in the darkness. This card can mean finding a therapist or a guide, a support group, a community that's like-minded on your wavelength. It can mean a chance encounter that inspires you. Your faith is restored, resources start flowing, and you can stand on your own 2 feet again. You can feel reassured that you're on the right path. The key words to describe this card, and it's quite supernatural: hope, faith, balance, support, assistance, guidance. It's healing after an illness. It's being restored. And sometimes it just means a star, like a glamour puss, a famous person, a celebrity. Reversed is where there's resistance and blocking to healing energy, refusing to share, refusing to be transparent. The star reversed is about feeling disappointed, a loss of faith, a loss of hope, disappointment in your guides. But the message of the star is always about accepting the abundance, the love, support of the universe. Spirit is always there to help you. The universe has your back, and it loves you unconditionally. If you resonate with this card, it might be because you need some healing or you are a healer. It's a great card to try meditation, do yoga, anything that joins and harmonises the mind, body, soul and spirit. We've covered a bit of ground there, but let's look closer at the symbols and the imagery in the star card. It's a number 17. 1 plus 7 equals 8. Strength. And in fact, is this the same woman? This is the successful completion of this task of using compassion to overcome the ego. There's an 8-pointed star overlooking the whole scene and 7 stars around, like the Pleiades, the 7 sisters, a constellation that's been used in so many different cultures over such a long time. The centre star being Alcyone, the brightest star in this constellation. This star appears here with the chariot and inside the lantern of the hermit. The 8-pointed star to me makes me think of the 8-spoked wheel, the cycles of the year that also came up in the Wheel of Fortune, the passage of time. The naked woman is open, true, relaxed, comfortable in her skin. She has one foot resting in the water, kneeling on the land. She's balanced and nourishing. This is about harmony. And ultimately, this spiritual reward becomes the figure in the centre of the world card at the very end of our journey. This is about trust and openness. The pose we can see is linked to the Temperance card. The 2 urns here are really rustic. The Temperance card, they're a bit more glamorous. And it's the waters of life and spirit. As above, so below. All is balanced. The pool here in the star card, we can see it rippling out. And I do see this card as social media and the way news and healing, goodwill ripples out. Her left hand is pouring on the earth. 5 little rivers coming out of it. And I see this in a way as restoring the inverted pentagram that we saw in the Devil card. I also think the number 5 is the number of change, the 5 senses, and the healing that needs to come through the senses. And in this card we can see we're sometime still in the night. It could be just before dawn or just after dusk. There's a tree here up on higher ground and green flowers. This is all the renewal, the hope. And did you spot this little bird? In some cards it's drawn as an owl or a butterfly. But again, I think it's the messages of healing and how healing ripples out and affects those around you in a positive way. This is a card of hope. This card is otherworldly, like a blessing being bestowed upon you. And it is a card that says be grateful. There are blessings and synchronicity if you flow and allow the flow of the universe. In fairy stories, this is the part of the journey where after a terrible time, our hero comes across a little cottage at the bottom of the hill and there's a bowl of soup and dry clothes left out for them. It's when the main character is visited by a good fairy who boosts their self-esteem and tells them they can go forward and have their dream. The good fairy even has a star at the end of her wand. For a caterpillar becoming a butterfly, it's the stage from where in its cocoon, it's now broken through into the light. Its body is wet and vulnerable, but it has wings. It's magical and rejuvenating. The Star card is still and tranquil, but moving and flowing. The mountain in the distance tell us this isn't the end of the journey, and you'll have to move on from that good fairy or that guide or that therapist who helped you in this time. This card has no hidden agendas. It's unconditional and with no expectations. And like the Strength card, it shows us that vulnerability is strength. To yield and to flow is not a sacrifice. It's replenishing. It's a self-sustaining gift. The Star card gave us hope and reassurance that we're on the right path, but we still have to journey through the night before we get to where we're going. Our next card is the Moon and tells the rest of that story through the night. For a moment now, pause the video and write your first impressions of what you see in this card. When you only have hope to go by, it takes a lot of courage to persevere. The Moon reflects the insecurities and the fears around that dark part of the journey, the part before daylight comes through and you can finally have clarity. It's like the Star card gave you trainer wheels, and now they've been taken off and you're on your own and all your doubt kicks in. It's a world of shadows and the unknown, monsters from the deep. Your imagination plays tricks on you and things aren't what they seem. You can't rely on it. It's a place of confusion and distortion. With the Moon, you can only rely on yourself, similar to the Hermit card, the number 9. And with this card, you're giving a psychic sense to do that. You listen to your body, pay attention to the signals around you. Your nervous system is on high alert with this card. Pay attention to your dreams and your hunches. Put up a bit of protection, especially at night. The Moon is reflected light, and in that regard, it's a mask. You can't really see what's going on behind. So it's a card of secrets that are yet to be revealed. Something's being temporarily hidden. It might be a document, some piece of information. It might be someone's bad temper or ill intentions. Or it might be where you've hidden your own confidence and purpose and allowed doubt and fear to take over. The Moon can make you lose your way just when you thought you found your way home. You can see there's a gateway you have to pass through. This card is a test to see if you can see in the dark. The key words for the Moon: fear, suspicion, illusion, the unconscious, intuition, mystery, and partial answers. Reversed, the Moon might mean a shift in energy, confusion clearing, deception could be minimized. Nevertheless, it's a dark part of the journey, and the psychological impact of the Moon can bring depression, anxiety. It can echo back through layers of time, because the Moon is cyclic, and its memory is somatic, it's held in the body. It picks up parts of the unconscious and reflects it back to you. Let's have a detailed look at this card, because it's a really tough card to get in a reading. It's a number 18. 1 plus 8 equals 9. And look at this journey. Having the tools, having to harness in your ego, and then going within to seek the knowledge. You can only rely on yourself with this card. This is like an eclipsed sun with quite a, severe looking moon looking down. So this is about a passage of time where the subconscious rules over the conscious. The 2 watchtowers, these are linked to the Death card. This is the boundary between dream and reality, or nightmare and reality if you like. The dogs howling, well, they're not very friendly at all. It's the things that bark away in the back of your mind, your deepest fears, the animal nature gone rogue. If we think about the little terrier that the Fool had, the dogs are now like fully feral. This one looks more like a wolf, is really untamed, really instinctive parts of the nature reacting. This long path links to the Lover's card and the flat mountains in the distance. It's the other side of the Star card. And this pool of water, I think, is like the other part of the pond of this. But now, instead of an angel helping us, our darkest fears, the scorpion, the monster of the deep, is rising. This is childhood fear, places that have laid hidden, that you've grown a hard shell around to protect. And that part of you that you would normally keep under wraps is coming up for air. The odds that we saw with the tower have now landed in this place. That disintegration of all you knew has now just left you sitting with your fears and your doubts. The moon falls under the astrological sign of Pisces. It's a water sign known for sensitivity, spirituality, and imagination. It's also a sign that's known for sacrifice. Its symbol is two fish swimming in opposite directions. The confusion and the uncertainty plays out in this card. The moon represents the chink in your armour, the vulnerable place, the place you have to face your shadow self, and where you wear a mask. It shows up in all the dark places like depression, mental health issues, paranoia, phobias and nightmares. It's all the unresolved issues. Things are rarely seen clearly with the moon. It distorts time. It makes you feel like what happened in the past is happening right here and now. You may be only looking at what you want to see with the moon. Have you got a technique or a practice that helps you manage fear and anxiety? We'll continue with the Sun, Judgement and The World in the next video, the completion of the Fool's journey through the Major Arcana, and there'll be some spreads and a full review in there too. After that, I'll be loading up more content to cover the Minor Arcana and the Court cards, so hit the notification bell so you don't miss out, or I've got the whole series saved in a playlist as an endless resource. I'm Meryl Key, and this is my mystery school. Find me on Instagram at my_mystery school or on my website www.merylkey.com.